Hi there, everyone. Here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9. One of the doctors at Mercy Hospital who received the coronavirus vaccine yesterday shares her story. Plus, officials in Nevada, Missouri investigate a building collapse on the town square.
Snow days may be a thing of the past here at McDonald County High School as the district works to keep students engaged even when the weather gets bad. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
And a Joplin restaurant showing appreciation for area medical workers by feeding them some good food, as we see right there. Doug Heddy has weather tonight. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abby. 24 hours after receiving one of the first COVID-19 vaccines in the area, one Mercy employee is sharing her experience. In addition to her story, KOAM's Chris Warner also spoke with a Freeman cardiologist who's been dealing with patients concerned about getting the vaccine.
This is Donna Stokes getting her COVID vaccine Tuesday at Mercy. She was one of 6 employees that got the vaccine and shared how she's feeling.
I am great. I have a very little sore spot on my arm. That's it. So I'm definitely one of those that apparently is not going to show side effects to the first dose of the vaccine. So all is well.
Dr. John Cox is a cardiologist at Freeman Health System. He says he's been fielding a number of calls and questions from patients with concerns about getting the vaccine. He says a lot of that concern comes from rumors spreading on social media.
The people have said microchips, for goodness sakes. Most people's lives are not that interesting that some nefarious people would microchip them, Second, people say, well, the messenger RNA is going to deform our DNA and give us cell mutations. Well, the messenger RNA doesn't get in the cell nucleus. It stays out in the cytoplasm. There's no way it can do that.
He says the best source of information is fact.
The simple answer is the data from 75,000 volunteers in the 2 studies that have been published so far indicate the complication rate is very similar to that of the flu vaccine. You have a little sore arm, maybe an ache in your muscles, maybe a low-grade fever for 24 hours, but that's basically it.
Stokes says she's hopeful the healthcare industry stepping up first will set the tone.
Healthcare stepping up and taking the vaccine is a twofold. It hopefully will give the community confidence, but it will also keep our nurses and doctors and all of our ancillary staff able to continue to work to take care of those that are ill.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
As of right now, Mercy is not mandating the vaccine for its employees. However, they're hopeful that as more staff members take the vaccine, it's going to encourage those who are hesitant to step up and get the vaccine as well. Doctors at Mercy were not the only ones to receive the vaccine. Some doctors at Ascension Via Christi in Pittsburgh were also vaccinated. One of them, Dr. Caitlin Felk, says even after getting the vaccine, wearing a mask is still important.
Yes, they still need to wear a mask. The vaccine has been studied to decrease severe disease, but not decrease transmission. So social distancing and wearing a mask will still be very important.
Dr. Felk also says the process of getting the vaccine, as we've been hearing about just in the last story, is similar to getting a flu shot. Doug Heddy joins us now with our first look at weather. Yesterday it was cold and snow. Tonight, just cold.
Yeah, it's really cold out there. In fact, we only made it up to 30 for a high today. Our average high is 47, so well below where we should be. But the clouds just kind of hung around all day long. They're breaking up a little bit, but as they break up, we're going to start to see fog building in, and that's going to drop the visibilities as we work through the overnight hours. But all the rain, all the snow is out of here. Our next storm system sitting in the Pacific Northwest, and that will start to affect us by late Friday. But it's cold. Most of us 30, 31 degrees. The clouds keeping our temps up just a little bit, but eventually we'll drop back into the mid-20s. And again, we're going to have that patchy fog late tonight. We'll look at what is to come here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks as always. A building in Nevada, Missouri collapsed yesterday, and now the Nevada Fire Department is releasing more information. Department officials say they received a call a little after 5 yesterday that this building on the intersection of Cherry and Cedar collapsed. Thankfully, no one was inside the time, and there were no injuries. Crews worked late overnight to bring the building down to a safe height so it wouldn't pose a danger to nearby structures. As we get further into winter, students across the 4 states may be waiting for those snow days. Remember those days? Good old days? But for one local district, those days are going to look a little bit different. KOAM Zach Dodge has this story.
Teacher Marguerite Lapine is going through a lot of change this year. It's her first year at McDonald County High School, her first year teaching in Missouri, and she's doing it during a pandemic.
So that's a new thing to try too. There's a lot of firsts this year.
Another first this year for everyone in Mack County. Snow days aren't really snow days anymore.
Our kids have already lost so much time in learning due to last spring's closure, and so we really feel like there are gains that need to be made, and we want to take advantage of every second of learning that we can.
The district has decided to turn those short-term school closures into remote learning days, called AMI days, so that students don't miss learning or have to go back and make up work.
I have mixed feelings because as someone of my age, and I'm pretty young still, I remember getting days off for snow, and so there's a part of me that really wants my students to be able to experience that. And then I also understand the other side of it, which is that our students have missed a lot of opportunities.
Monday was their first AMI day, and so far the idea seems to be working pretty well.
At first I was a little upset because I like snow days and stuff, but it wasn't too bad at all for me because like I said, I could get work done and still enjoy the snow and have fun.
So I tried to find a balance with our snow day, virtual day, and try to encourage them to enjoy having time to be at home and to do something different, but also remind them that they can still use that time to be productive for their learning goals.
They had their students fill up different containers and then measure the containers of snow in terms of inches, so the kids were still outside and engaged. So I think we're trying to find ways to make sure that's still not lost, but yet we're still able to continue learning too.
In McDonald County, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The change was approved for the remainder of this year. At the end of the school year, the district plans to evaluate how it went before making a long-term decision. Longhorn Steakhouse in Joplin made sure the folks over at Freeman Health System got the most important meal of the day, the most delicious too. Longhorn this morning served Freeman workers pancakes as a sincere thank you for their hard work and sacrifice.
What we could impact the most is that the essential workers, especially the hospital workers, are underappreciated and undervalued at this time of year, especially with COVID and everything going on. So we just wanted to give back to them a little bit and show them our appreciation for all that they do.
Employees were treated to that breakfast at Freeman West until noon today. Students at Joplin's Irving Elementary School are helping out those in need by collecting gifts for the Ronald McDonald House. The student council came up with the idea to host a Spirit Week where kids dress up each day to a different Christmas-related theme. Students also brought in items like microwavable food and gift cards to give to the Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, these items are very necessary right now, during COVID especially. The Irving students collected so many items. They're going to help stock our shelves in our pantry.
The Irving Student Council chose to give to the Ronald McDonald House, and what an awesome decision that was. KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes us time to honor one of our four-state heroes. Merle Rouse served in the U.S. Army from 1944 to 46. Native of Liberal, Missouri, Rouse was stationed in Germany and earned several awards, including a Purple Heart. We are proud to thank Tech Sergeant Merle Rouse. He's tonight's four-state hero. Mr. Doug Heddy is up next with a complete look at the forecast. And a bit later in sports, a Webb City football standout signing on to play at the Division I level.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a very just really struggled to warm up across the region as we only made it up to right around 30 degrees. But we got the snow out of here that we had last night. So officially since midnight, no snow, but half an inch for the season. Of course, our southern counties have had more than that. Average is 12, forecast is 15. Last year, we ended up with 9.5 inches of snow. But if we look at this half of December, it's been kind of all over the place. Last week, we were above normal. We even set a record high of 75 on Thursday. And then since really then, we haven't climbed out of the 30s for afternoon highs. We will change that, thankfully, by tomorrow. So on the cloudy skies across the region, a little bit of patchy fog is going to build in. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And our temperatures right now are mainly right around 30, 31 degrees. So it is cold, and we'll drop back into the mid-20s later on tonight. We do have the clouds, which are going to break up, but fog is going to build back in. But once the fog burns off tomorrow morning, then we should be looking pretty good. 31 southerly winds at about 5. Look at our humidity. It's at 82%. And we are already starting to get some fog, especially in our southern counties where there is actually some snowpack on the ground. And then our northern counties, not really any fog as of yet. But I do think we'll get that fog for most of us later on tonight. Still a lot of clouds. Clouds slowly breaking up on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. If we pull out right across the Central Plains, not too much is going on. Our snow that passed through yesterday is now producing a huge nor'easter with 1 to 2 feet up through the New England states. And then our next storm system is sitting out across the Pacific Northwest. And this system will start to affect us Friday night and then into Saturday morning. For tonight, just the fog. So be careful if you are going to be out. It'll burn off quickly in the morning. We'll start to rise into the mid to upper 40s for highs, so at least significantly warmer than what we did see today. 26 to start, 42 by noon. High temp right around 46. Tomorrow night, we'll see some clouds sneaking in late. Most of the night's going to be clear. This is ahead of our next storm system, and then significantly warmer again on Friday as we should go into the mid 50s for highs. Then our next storm system. So Friday night, we'll start to get a few showers sneaking in. This is going to be mainly after midnight. Temperatures are going to be near 40. And then by Saturday morning, there could be a few flakes of snow mixed in. Then we'll get rid of this system. And then I think Saturday just kind of looks cloudy and kind of cold again. High temperatures right around 40, and then it looks a little bit better as we work towards Sunday. Besides that, not much going on. Sunday looks good. Monday looks good. Tuesday looks good. Our next storm system, which could give us a few showers, will roll in by late Wednesday. 46 tomorrow, 53 on Friday. Again, showers mainly Friday night into Saturday morning. A little chilly on Saturday, but Sunday looks great. 53, partly sunny.
Yeah, isn't that something, as you were mentioning, that system that moved through our area yesterday produced, just moderate snow. It's producing so much snow out in the Northeast.
It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is how things work. Doug Heddy, thanks as always, man. With our annual Toy Box campaign wrapping up this week, our friends at 5 Star Moving stopped by a studio to help us load up the gifts for delivery. Our employees put the toys in bags and brought them out to trucks provided by 5 Star Moving. Thank you to everyone who donated and volunteered to make this Toy Box possible. Also, please don't forget, our annual Fox 14 Feed the 4 States is now underway. Each year, we ask you to donate non-perishable food items or money to buy food for area food banks. These donations are especially important this year during this pandemic. You can make food donations at any Westco home furnishing store or directly at a food bank. And you can make a financial donation to an area food bank through our website. See it right there, KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up, health officials recommending get tested if you feel sick.
The coronavirus outbreak continues to intensify as the vaccine rollout begins. I'm Casey Stiegel in Dallas. I've got details coming up.
Jasper County Health Department is reporting 2 more deaths being attributed to COVID-19. They were 2 males, one in his 60s, the other in his 70s. There are a total of 92 deaths now in Jasper County being attributed to COVID-19. Also, the Joplin Health Department reports 4 more COVID deaths, bringing their total to 80. Officials say the patients were 3 men, ages 49, 72, 83, and an 83-year-old female. United Airlines will start contact tracing this week. Starting tomorrow, the voluntary program is going to be available for all passengers arriving from international destinations. It will then expand to passengers on outbound domestic or international flights. Travelers are going to be asked to voluntarily provide key pieces of information, including their name, phone numbers, email addresses, and the address where they will be staying after arrival. Numbers just keep ticking up, and they're staggering. Some 200,000 new coronavirus cases every day here in the United States. And while there is light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccine, right, experts say it won't be fast enough to avoid a post-holiday surge. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has more now from Dallas.
The morning bell at the National Cathedral, tolling 300 times for 300,000 Americans who have died since the coronavirus outbreak. Deaths, a lagging indicator, have been spiking in recent weeks. Data showing 1 COVID-related fatality every minute now in the U.S. California Governor Gavin Newsom ordering thousands of body bags this week to deal with the surge, while funeral home directors across the country say they're running short on basic supplies.
We don't have enough stretchers. We don't have the infrastructure to handle the amount of people that we're serving.
Coronavirus hospitalizations also hitting record levels, more than 110,000 as of Tuesday. And intensive care beds are rapidly filling, especially in rural areas.
We're going to get to the point in the near future where there will be no room in the inn.
Public health officials now urging folks to get tested if they're feeling sick. On Tuesday, the FDA approved the first over-the-counter COVID test. It costs about $30 and delivers results in 15 minutes. There's also a new campaign underway to get Americans to stay home for the holidays to help flatten the curve.
When you eat and drink, you take your mask off. When you're around family, you think everybody's safe, so you take your mask off. You let your guard down. Don't do that.
While here in Texas, officials are pushing back on a new White House report, labeling the state a red zone because of the high rate of infection. That's the latest from Dallas. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
Just ahead, a security hearing with debates about the last election.
President-elect Biden rolls out another cabinet nomination as senators on Capitol Hill look back at the election. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. I'll have more on that heated hearing coming up.
Thursday. With just 35 days to go until Inauguration Day, President-elect Joe Biden formally announced his latest cabinet pick, a familiar name from the campaign trail. This as a GOP-led Senate hearing questioned witnesses about alleged irregularities in the 2020 election. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard is in D.C. with the latest.
I nominate Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
President-elect Joe Biden rolled out another cabinet nomination. His one-time political rival, former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, for Transportation Secretary.
At its best, transportation makes the American dream possible.
And he plans to nominate former Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm for Energy Secretary. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., an at times heated GOP-led Senate Homeland Security hearing focused back on Election Day and what Republicans perceive as irregularities.
The fact that our last two presidential elections have not been accepted as legitimate by large percentages of the American public is a serious problem that threatens our republic.
This hearing gives a platform to conspiracy theories and lies.
An attorney for President Trump's campaign told senators their fraud case has been largely ignored by the courts.
We can't pretend that we have a clean election when there's evidence to the contrary.
While former cybersecurity head Christopher Krebs testified.
While elections are sometimes messy, this was a secure election. Of that, I have no doubt.
Shortly after November 3rd, Krebs said it had been the most secure election in American history. He was later fired by the president. Krebs also told the Senate panel that continued claims of election fraud are doing damage to the country.
This is not America I recognize, and it's got to stop.
There are 5 weeks until Inauguration Day, and it's still unclear if President Trump will attend. On Twitter, he scolded Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell for acknowledging Biden as the president-elect. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
So we're going to check out the moves of this new airline safety informational when we come back. Hats off to Alaska Airlines for novelty and a new coronavirus safety awareness blitz to help you dance your virus worries away when you fly with them. This is awesome. I love this. The Western-based airline is reinforcing COVID safety with a music video starring its own employees, set to the 1983 hit, The Safety Dance. Alaska Airlines proclaiming its virus safety and mask requirements, hand washing recommendations, and even HEPA air filtration systems. The video is posted on the airline's website and YouTube. Look at those moves, man. Though it's not yet clear if the video is shown as part of the pre-flight virus training to passengers, if it's going to be shown to them in the future. I hope so. You know, those of us who have flown a few times in the past, I mean, those safety things can get kind of mundane, right? I mean, honestly, this would jazz it up a little bit. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports. Coming away, the topic of paying college athletes. There's a debate going before the U.S. Supreme Court next year. Going to hear more about the specifics. Also, if you've been working at home during this pandemic, some advice for transitioning your pets for the days of not seeing you as much anymore. Plus, how the combination of wine and cheese could be a good pair for brain health. The topic of paying college athletes will go before the U.S. Supreme Court next year. The justices have agreed to review a court decision that could be the first step in making historic changes. Fox News senior correspondent Mike Tobin has the specifics tonight from Chicago.
From the university to television networks, even shoe companies, everyone seems to get a piece of the revenue from college sports, except for the guys who take the hits and shoot the basket.
We had always felt that there was going to come a tipping point for the student athletes to finally come together and say enough is enough.
The U.S. Supreme Court agreed to hear an appeal from the NCAA to a suit from former West Virginia running back Sean Alston. This case could end roughly a decade of legal battles and open the floodgates to compensation for student athletes. The chief legal officer for the association wrote, "The NCAA and its members continue to believe that college campuses should be able to improve the student-athlete experience without facing never-ending litigation regarding these changes." Lower court rulings have allowed college athletes to receive compensation in the form of computers and supplies for school, even advanced degrees. One ruling and a law passed in California allow athletes to profit from their name, image, and likeness. But the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said the NCAA cannot limit education-related compensation or benefits. Now that the High Court has taken the appeal, the concept of amateur college athlete could forever change.
The NCAA hasn't policed themselves. They make bad decision after bad decision, and so somebody's going to have to change it for them.
Analyst Lester Munson disagrees with the argument that education will suffer when revenue is diverted to athletes.
The only people who will suffer in this are the executives of the NCAA, the athletic directors, and the coaches who have enormous salaries from the revenue from these sports.
The spirit of amateur athletics is a difficult thing for lawyers to articulate and argue. What's easy to argue is that fans pay to see the athletes, and the athletes don't get paid. In Chicago, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
So if you've been working only at home the past few months, seems like years really, your pets may have had a hard time adjusting to it at first, and they're going to have a hard time adjusting possibly when it's all said and done, when the pandemic is over with. Veterinarians say pets have gotten used to having their owners at home all the time. Dogs are natural pack animals, and cats enjoy the extra socialization and attention. Pet owners can buy a camera to watch their pets from work, even allow you to interact with them. Some of those cameras do. It's also important to re-socialize pets with other animals so you aren't their only source of attention. Also, don't be alarmed if your pets act out after the switch. They're behavioral. Whole behavioral thing going on will adjust over time, so say the experts anyway. As if wine and cheese could get any better, a new study showing the delicious pairing are actually good for improving age-related cognitive issues. Cheese was found to be the most protective food item in older participants. This according to research Iowa State University published in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease. The UK-based study of more than 17,000 people had participants complete a fluid intelligence test to see how well they were able to think on their feet over the course of 4 years. The findings also showed daily red wine consumption also boosted brain function. High blood pressure can affect your memory and thinking skills even before you hit those golden years. Researchers studied the blood pressure levels of about 7,000 people with an average age of 59, finding those with high blood pressure experienced some form of accelerated decline in thinking skills as compared to those who maintained normal blood pressure readings. There's a latest fallout in a growing scandal of Chinese espionage at the highest levels of government and business. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin has the latest now from the Pentagon.
The FBI says it opens a new counterintelligence case against China every 10 hours. Beijing's goal to steal U.S. companies' trade secrets and Americans' data.
The Chinese Communist Party tries to cultivate Americans at all levels of government, not just senators and congressmen, and not just Democrats or Republicans, but anyone who might be influential in American politics in the future.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo recently warned Wisconsin state legislators they need to have their guard up.
Know that when you're approached by a Chinese diplomat, it is likely not in the spirit of cooperation or friendship. Know that if you're offered a trip to China when the pandemic travel restrictions are lifted, that you should ask who's paying for the trip. And if that person is linked directly or indirectly, to the Chinese Communist Party.
The FBI director says out of 5,000 open counterintelligence investigations, half involve the Chinese Communist government.
We do not want to live in a world where the Chinese Communist Party sets the rules. That is going to be a world in which their massive individual surveillance state is imposed on all of us.
Mobile cell phone networks used by Americans when they travel outside the U.S. are particularly vulnerable. A study at Exigent Media found China conducting surveillance attacks against U.S. mobile phone users over 3 and 4G networks. American tourists traveling in the Caribbean did not realize that their cell phone signal was being routed through Chinese telecom operators like Unicom when they visited Barbados or the Bahamas.
Cybersecurity experts who we spoke to say this was likely part of a state-sponsored espionage campaign by Beijing that affected tens of thousands of Americans in the past 2 years. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
A bit later, holiday shopping trends.
A new survey from FTI Consulting says holiday spending is down about 4% nationally. But what are we seeing here in the four-state area? You'll hear from a local business and shoppers coming up.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a super cold day for us today. Temperatures struggled to warm up. We only made it to 30. We haven't really had any snow today, but of course, we had the round of snow last night. The light snow, about a half an inch fell, and that's where we sit for the season. Average in a year is 12 inches. It used to be about 16 or 17, but over the past 20 years, of course, climate is warming, so we get less snow in the winter. I'm forecasting we get 15. I think we're going to get 1, maybe 2 good ones this winter, but our month has been kind of crazy. Last week it was all above normal. We were in the 50s, 66 Wednesday, set a record high, 75 on Thursday. Since then, we can't even climb really above 40 degrees. Outside right now, we are looking at our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Tower Cam for you. Of course, it's cold. We're going to be watching for some patchy fog building in, so watch out for that if you are going to be on the roadways. 29 Yates Center, 31 Chatopa, Neosho 32, Lamar sitting at about 30 degrees. Looking outside from our station, currently at 31. Wind chill 26. Humidity is at 82%. And I think as we continue to slowly cool and we get closer to 100% humidity, we're going to start to see the fog building in, which you can already see building in much thicker in our southern counties. That's because there's snow on the ground. The farther north you go, there isn't any snow, so the fog really isn't building in. But it's going to be patchy, but it could be thick later on tonight. We still have the clouds across the region, which are going to break up, so we will get sunshine finally tomorrow. The storm system that rolled through yesterday is dumping 1 to 2 feet of snow up across New England, so very heavy amounts of snow. Out to the west, here's our next storm system, which will affect us late Friday and Friday night. For us tonight, we just have the fog to worry about, mid-20s, so it's going to be super cold. We'll get sunshine tomorrow, at least quite a bit warmer, good, at least 15 degrees warmer. 26 to start, 42 by noon, high temp of 46. Tomorrow night, backing down near 30, but we'll start to get some clouds late. We're going to have a lot of clouds during the daytime hours on Friday, but I do think we'll end up staying dry until Friday night. That's when our next storm system rolls in. That's when we'll see chances for rain, which will start to increase. It's going to be light rain, temperatures near 40. Now, by Saturday morning, as the storm system exits, we could get a little bit of snow, which tries to mix in. It does not look like it's going to be a big deal, but of course, something we'll keep our eyes on. So let's go down the road. Sunday looks good. Monday looks good. Tuesday looks good. We start to warm near 60 degrees. We do have a storm system on Wednesday. It's not going to have a lot of moisture. Could give us a few random showers. I think it will push on out of here. So our chances for a white Christmas are about 1 to 2%. But much colder temperatures work in. So Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are going to be very, very cold. Very similar to what we have today. So even though it doesn't look like we'll have a white Christmas, it'll definitely be a cold one. 46 tomorrow, 53 Friday. Cooler on Saturday, back to 53 on Sunday.
Yeah, 50s sound good. I'll take that.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, for December. Doug Eddy, thanks as always. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern basketball getting set to take on Missouri Western. Plus, we're going to hear from a former Webb City standout. Moving on to Division I college football.
Join us for a Webb City High School running back Devin Weathers is headed to the Big 12. Weathers signs today to join the football program at Kansas State. And no doubt, he's one of the best in Missouri. Weathers rushed for more than 1,700 yards this year, adding 28 touchdowns. He's the COC Offensive Player of the Year and was a first-team All-State selection. Now, he knows he's got a special opportunity to play at a Big 12 school, but also he knows the place he comes from is pretty special too.
I honestly wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else. I think that Coach Rod implemented something really special in all of us, and I feel like that's something that we need to carry on. Friday nights are always just a great feeling, seeing the stands packed with all Webb City fans.
At Joplin High School, another dude headed to Division I, Alex Curry, signs today to play at Southeast Missouri State. Now, Curry has been a first-team All-State selection as an offensive lineman for the Eagles in each of the last 2 seasons.
It feels great. It's a blessing, and I can't wait to go play at CMO. It's a good environment, good culture, and I love Coach Tuke and all those guys down there. So it reminded me a lot of Joplin. Felt like home, so I'm just ready to go down and do some work.
Jonah Hensley also signed today at Joplin High School. Hensley will continue his swimming career next season at Midway University in Kentucky. The Missouri Southern Lions will be on the floor on Saturday, hosting Missouri Western. Now, for the Lions, it will be their first game in about 2 weeks after tomorrow night's matchup with Northwest Missouri was postponed. Now, on the men's side, it's going to be a good test for Southern. Western is 4-0 and has made it up to number 19 in the national rankings. Now, the Lions lost 4 of 5 starters coming into this year, so they've needed some new guys to step up. And so far, Stan Scott has been the big one. Through 4 games, Scott is averaging 14 points and 5 boards per game, shooting a team-high 55% from the floor.
Stan has really surprised us, and that's what we needed. We needed somebody to come and step up and replace everybody that we lost, and I think Stan's done a heck of a job. He's playing with a lot more confidence.
Feels good. You know, Coach knew what I can do is just the timing, so my time came and taking advantage of it, and we're doing good as a team. Overall, we're going to just focus on keep getting better.
The Missouri Southern women have been pretty good lately. After dropping their first 3, they've bounced back to win 3 in a row to get back to 500 through 6 games. Now they're winning and they're having fun. After 2 weeks off, they're ready to get back at it and try to stay rolling against Missouri Western.
It's definitely been more fun here. Like I said, we all want to get in the gym more now because we see that it's helping. So we're like, oh, the more we get in the gym, the more we can win. So everybody's just enjoying our time together.
The kids are playing with a lot of confidence. The bad part is we had we're going to miss a game against Northwest, so we're extended as far as almost 2 weeks from our last ball game. Practice have been good. They've been competitive, and that's what you want. You want kids to come in and want to be able to compete in practice every day and enjoy coming in.
That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
As the pandemic continues to take its toll on the national economy, a new survey from FTI Consulting finds holiday spending is down this year. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to a Pittsburgh business, also 4-state shoppers, to see if they're experiencing this trend.
According to a new survey from FTI Consulting, American shoppers are spending about 4% less this holiday season, while 80% of survey respondents are committed to shopping more online compared to last year. That might sound like bad news to a store like Pittsburgh's Gorilla Country, which doesn't sell things online. But owner Steve Scott says this year hasn't been that bad.
Our sales they're better than I thought they'd be.
Steve says he keeps his sales records confidential, but believes the fact that he sells products associated with a popular school like PSU has helped him weather the pandemic.
People love Pitt State. They love the university. And they like to show off their pride through their apparel they wear.
This 4-state business may not be seeing a 4% dip in holiday spending, but what about local shoppers? I asked some at Pittsburgh's Meadowbrook Mall to find out.
We're actually spending probably more on other people than we are ourselves this year because there is so much hard times out there. So, you know, what we can give back to the community and to our friends and schools, we do.
This year I've definitely went a little harder than last year, I'd say. Started my career this year, and that was one of my goals, was to make sure I had a better Christmas for my family this year.
Probably about the same.
What about you?
I spend more this year.
So you're spending more compared to last year?
Yes.
Have you just had a good year, or are you just in a...
You just had a good year.
In Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
FTI Consulting also found that online shopping is not up because of COVID-19 concerns, but rather factors like convenience, low prices, and free shipping. Going to end our night with a few new things scientists have discovered, and you'll be happy to know this has nothing to do with a new virus.
In South America, find a number of creatures thought to be extinct. I'm Kevin Cork in Washington. I'll show you the animals that are amazing the experts. Just ahead.
Scientists exploring South America discover more than a dozen new species. They also find a new type of frog that was thought to be extinct. So new to us, not new to time per se. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork shows us the new creatures.
Birds flying in the skies of Bolivia. It's a sight to see, but that's not what scientists in South America are marveling over. During an expedition in Bolivia's Andes region, 17 researchers from the environmentalist group Conservation International found this devil-eyed frog, believed to be extinct. Earlier attempts to find the red-eyed frog, reportedly not seen in more than 20 years, were not fruitful.
The findings of our RAP expedition to the Zongo Valley in Bolivia were really extraordinary. We were quite surprised at the number of species that we found.
The researchers went to an indigenous area near the Bolivian city of La Paz. 20 new species were discovered, including the Lilliputian frog, which is less than half an inch long. It's among the smallest amphibians across the globe.
Even more exciting for many of us was the rediscovery of 4 species.
Researchers on their voyage through the Andes were able to also observe a number of snakes and insects, and even some flowers and trees. They also found the metal-marked butterfly, which feeds on nectar from flowers.
These findings are of enormous importance to Bolivia and to the world. Still exploring outer space, but we don't know. There's so much we don't know about the Earth.
Experts say the remarkable discoveries are proof that sustainability and conservation are key to protecting wildlife. And they say one of the surest signs of a healthy forest is finding species like the ones they've located. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us as always. Going to leave you with some Christmas lights in Katy Park, Chinook, Kansas. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.